following use case for the Interoute Virtual Data Center, I will show you a multi-site synchronous mirrored SQL failover cluster. In this scenario we use high safety mode synchronous replication with automatic failover using a witness server. The pros compared to a single instance SQL server is that you have increased availability, increased data protection, ease of maintenance, and you can build a very cost-effective solution as we're only using 2 nodes in a cluster, so we can use SQL Standard Edition. The cons are you can only read and write from and to a single server, no way to access the data on a mirrored host. This is different in always-on availability group configuration. We also have a video on that, but not in this scenario. So in Amsterdam we have a mirror SQL server and the witness server that's checking which of the nodes in the cluster is active at any moment in time. And there's a domain controller. In Paris we have the principal, the primary SQL server, and again a domain controller to make the environment fully redundant. And in Berlin we have the reporting server that accesses and queries the databases in Amsterdam and Paris, depending on which one is active in the cluster. Let me show you the actual environment. So here we are, we have the Paris zone at the bottom left with the MCD SQLP primary server and an Active Directory server. You can see that all zones are interconnected over our own VPN network, MPLS network, over our own fibers. So you have a very low latency direct link between all virtual data center zones. In Paris the primary, in Amsterdam we have the secondary, an Active Directory server and a witness server checking the databases, and in Berlin we do the reporting. Here we're looking at a monitoring platform that shows you the primary and the secondary server running in Paris and Amsterdam. So we have the MCD SQLP primary host in Paris, the secondary host in Amsterdam, the witness server checking which of the nodes in the cluster is active, and we have the reporting server here in Berlin. If I click on this, it will open up the report manager, where we can select a report that does a query on the active node in the cluster. This is an example set of queries and databases from Microsoft. So let's start up the company sales report and see which of the nodes in the cluster is active. So at the moment the MCD SQLS server is responding and providing the data for this query. If we go back to the environment, we see that that's the machine in Amsterdam at the moment. We can now simulate a failure in the Amsterdam zone. So let's head over to the Interoute Virtual Data Center control panel and switch off this server. So here we're looking at VDC. I go to instances, and I happen to know that WinSQL AMS is the actual host we need to switch off. So let me stop the instance. Okay. And if I now go back to my monitoring environment, it should turn red any moment. There we are. So now this machine in the cluster is down. If I re-query, it gives me the results from the primary server. So the cluster failed over and it's doing what it's expected to be doing. It's now showing the results from the primary server in Paris.